Ukraine's Leopard 1A5 tanks are nothing like the machines Germany originally sent. Once dismissed as Cold War relics, they've been transformed into something strange and unexpectedly effective. They're no longer just tanks. They're sniper platforms, drone hunters, and even experimental anti-aircraft systems, customized in ways no army has ever tried. And after years in combat, these Franken-tanks are surviving better than many modern Western vehicles. Instead of fighting as traditional main battle tanks, Ukraine's Leopards have been repurposed into precision weapons. They function as armored snipers, accurate beyond normal tank ranges. They're testing grounds for drone hunting, technology, and even potential anti-air systems. Ukrainian engineers, backed by Western support, have taken outdated machines and reinvented them for 21st century war. The Leopard 1A5 was never supposed to fight in Ukraine. When Germany approved the export of 178 of these tanks in 2023, the move was little more than a cleanup operation. The Leopard 1 had been retired across Europe since the early 2000s, replaced by the far heavier and more advanced Leopard 2. The retired tanks sat in storage, divided between manufacturers, Rheinmetall and FFG. Some were even stuck in Switzerland, caught in legal disputes over weapons exports. Still, Germany, Denmark, and the Netherlands pledged to send at least 100 units. Rheinmetall tried securing more from Italy, but the deal shrank to just 25. Deliveries didn't happen quickly either. The first Leopards only reached Ukraine 19 months later, in September 2024, after delays to refurbish the long-idle machines. Yet within months, they were performing far beyond expectations. Out of 103 tanks in service as of August 2025, just 21 had been lost, when a survival rate of roughly 87%. That's better than many newer Western tanks in the same war. Ukraine's 508th Separate Repair and Restoration Battalion praised the brigades using them, saying, "There are reasons to believe they are being used properly." The key to this success wasn't the tanks themselves, but what Ukraine did with them. The Leopard 1A5's biggest weakness has always been its armor. With only 70 millimeters at its thickest, it was vulnerable even to older Soviet weapons. Against modern drones and artillery, it would have been a death trap. But instead of trying to make the tanks invincible, Ukrainian engineers made them drone-proof. They integrated explosive reactive armor, ERA, including Contact 1 and Nij blocks, systems originally designed for Soviet T-64s. Engineers redesigned the placements to fit the Leopard's chassis, strategically covering its weakest spots. Contact 1 works by detonating on impact, disrupting shaped charges before they can penetrate. Nij adds a layered system of smaller charges, cutting into incoming munitions, with a chain reaction of knives. While neither makes the Leopard invulnerable, they drastically improve survival against drones and anti-tank rounds. Then came the real innovation: anti-drone cages and nets. Ukrainian footage showed Leopards with folding grills over their turrets and mesh designed to trap explosive drones mid-flight. In one famous case, a Leopard survived 10 direct drone hits before finally being disabled on the 11th strike. But armor was only part of the story. Ukraine completely redefined how the Leopard was used. Rather than as a frontline brawler, it became a mobile sniper. Crews describe it as lying in wait, dashing into position, firing quickly at 2.5 to 3 miles, then disappearing before counterfire arrived. The tank's 105mm L7A3 gun is smaller than NATO's modern 120s, but when paired with new fire control systems, thermal sights, and laser rangefinders, it became far deadlier than expected. Ukrainian crews can fire 10 rounds per minute, often outpacing Russian tanks. Combined with its lighter 40-ton frame, the Leopard could dart across swampy terrain, fire with accuracy, and escape before Russian artillery locked in. This mobility has saved many crews. In one clash east of Pokrovsk, a Leopard burst from cover and blasted Russian infantry at point-blank range. These hit-and-run tactics minimize risks while keeping pressure on advancing forces. Ammunition management also plays a role. Crews keep only limited rounds in the turret, with the rest in the hull. This reduces the chance of catastrophic explosions if drones or artillery hit the tank. Other countries have experimented with their own Leopard upgrades. Belgium is testing a version with an unmanned Cockerel 3105 turret. This replaces the loader with an autoloader system, reduces the crew to 3, and makes the tank lighter by nearly 5 tons. The new turret can even fire laser-guided anti-tank missiles, turning the Leopard into a precision tank hunter. Storing ammunition in the hull also boosts survivability, since hits to the turret won't necessarily destroy the crew. Meanwhile, Rheinmetall has developed the Skyranger 35, an anti-air system mounted on a Leopard. Un chassis. With a 35mm autocannon and optional missile launchers, it's designed to shoot down drones at ranges up to 2.5 miles. While no confirmed deployments to Ukraine have been reported, the system reflects growing recognition that drone defense is now as important as traditional armor. What ties these innovations together is a shift in philosophy. Ukraine didn't just modernize the Leopard, it optimized it for current battlefield realities. The EMS-18 fire control system, borrowed from the Leopard 2, gave it night fighting ability and precise targeting. Its simpler components made frontline repairs easier than with modern tanks, like the Leopard 2 or the US Abrams, which often need to be hauled to Poland for servicing. In practice, this made the Leopard 1A5 more useful than many newer Western tanks. Ukraine has around 100 Leopard 1s but only 80 Leopard 2s and far fewer Abrams. The Abrams in particular fared poorly, with 27 of 31 destroyed, largely because they were too hard to maintain, too fuel-hungry, and lacked drone defenses. In contrast, Leopard 1s could be patched up close to the front and sent back into battle. This success also highlights deeper flaws in modern tank doctrine. The Leopard 2 and Abrams were designed for wars where NATO would control the skies, where tanks could fight with heavy support and overwhelming firepower. But in Ukraine, neither side has air dominance. Drones swarm the battlefield, artillery rains constantly, and tanks can't simply charge ahead like in Cold War battle plans. That's why lighter, simpler, cheaper machines and ones that can hide, shoot, and survive drones have proven so valuable. Even with a smaller gun, the Leopard 1 can still kill armored vehicles, especially with modern targeting systems. And unlike fragile high-tech vehicles, it can be fixed with basic tools by Ukrainian crews. Still, these upgrades come with limits. Adding E-ray and cages reduces mobility. The chassis and engine, designed in the 1960s, can only take so much modification before breaking down. And in urban combat, where tanks are forced into prolonged exposure, these improvisations won't be enough. The Leopard 1A5's evolution may not be a permanent solution, but rather a stopgap, a way to keep Ukraine fighting with what it has. In the end, Ukraine's Leopards are strange because they had to be. Traditional tank doctrine doesn't fit a battlefield dominated by drones and artillery. Ukrainian engineers adapted, creating hybrids that matched reality rather than theory. Whether these Franken tanks are the future of armored warfare or just a unique response to extraordinary circumstances is still unclear. But their success proves one thing. In a war many thought would last only weeks, Ukraine has survived for years by reinventing not just how it fights, but what its weapons even are. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to learn more about how Western tanks have performed in Ukraine, check out our other videos. And to stay up to date on the latest in global conflict and defense, make sure to subscribe to the Military Show.